So we isolated that and got it to the edges to where we can continue to get that color mix to grow in. And then, so we had two similar types and species, and you can see in this example, it's just walled off, not actually grafting. And a lot of times the colonies that would bleach or just be stressed, have irregular growth, might have more of a chance to pop up with some of those aberrant colors.
What's going on, Reef Builders? I'm here at Top Shelf Aquatics today with the one and only Kevin Burda, and we recently put out that article about grafted coral. And Kevin was so nice to work with me about getting the most recent working information that he's working in the shop every day to create grafted coral. And so I wanted to follow up with a video to show you some of the really, really awesome pieces and creations that Kevin has been working on at Top Shelf, because hey, you kind of want to see it for yourself when you see all those images that we recently released. One of the most popular articles we put out in the last 5 years on the Reef Builders platform. So why not turn it into a video? Kevin, how are you doing this morning?
Yeah, I'm doing great, man. Happy to have you all here.
You get started early here. I reached out to Kevin yesterday. It's like, I'm in Florida. I've got to come by and talk about those grafted coral. What time do you get there every day? I think he's like 8, 9, 10, like maybe some of the other stores. He's like 7:30, buddy, 7:30. So that's every morning for you, bright and early, right?
Yeah, pretty much. We get here early. We got a lot of work to do, and we try to hit it hard and early in the day and have time in the afternoon to spend with the family.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, well, let's get to checking out some coral, right?
Sounds good, man.
Yeah, all right, cool. There's plenty of YouTube videos online about the TSA farm, but if you haven't seen it, this place is massive. I mean, just thousands upon thousands of coral here. Some of them just huge because of the grow out facility. There's just gems of coral just everywhere.
This here is the golden waves in Acropora. As you can see, it's got the two base colors on there, where it's got more of the gold along with kind of that yellowish gold swirled within it. So you get a nice kind of two-tone look in addition to the polyp contrast. Very pretty. You can see some of the sections even get crazy swirling, which make the best frags.
Wow, that's a beautiful piece. And you have a couple of pieces there that you have been able to create there. So that's all the colonies of golden waves that you've been able to create over time. And how long have you been working on that?
Oh, that one's been well over a year at this point. That was the one that we originally got from a tank breakdown. A client who had a super bleached Acropora, and then once it was darkening up, I noticed it had some swirls in there. So I said, hey, maybe we'll really luck into something special. And that's one of my theories with a lot of these grafted pieces, is that when they end up going through some sort of stress or trauma, that can cause some of the mutations in the coral itself that could cause some of these pigments. Now, I'm not a marine biologist and I don't have any proof of this, but based on conversations I've had with other people in the industry who grow corals and observations we've had over the years of doing this, where I've seen that effect happen a lot of times with different Acroporas as well. And a lot of times the colonies that would bleach or just be stressed, have irregular growth, might have more of a chance to pop up with some of those aberrant colors. The really cool thing on that is that this particular piece also developed a third color with some of the purple right on the top here. So right now we only have this little spot, but essentially that makes 3 base colors on this piece, which is incredibly interesting. And we're hoping to get this to continue to spread. You already see 2 branches taken off that have those various colors, and then we'll just continue to splice the best sections together on this to create frags that'll eventually turn into some really stunning colonies. Something I did not tell you about but it's a little project we've been working on. See this Vites down here?
Yeah.
So we had two similar types and species, and you can see in this example, it's just walled off, not actually grafting.
Right.
As far as one that we forced, we had made a handful of these, and over time, it actually did form a true graft on one of the pieces. And that's one that we've been sitting on and growing out here. So you can see how it's actually taken in both colors, and it's starting to spread through.
Wow.
With a true graft.
And that one took.
And that one took.
And
we had actually set up multiples to attempt the same process
And
without success.
And it walled off instead of taking.
Yeah. So this
Yeah.
is an interesting thing, because with the grafting, it seems like there's different ways that it happens. A lot of times with Montes and stuff like that, if I find combos that work, they usually always work. In this case, not so much. Same with like chalices and things. A lot of times if you have, a half and half, you can merge them back together and start manufacturing and manipulating the colonies. This one, completely different action on how it actually came about.
This is so interesting, as in the very same system, same two corals, all the same parameters, lighting, nutrients, and then randomly one out of a handful takes.
Yep.
What is going on here? It's going to be really interesting to get down to a scientific level, and they've been looking at it for quite a while, I guess, at least 5-10 years, and yeah, we still don't have all the answers. So.
Yeah, it definitely seems to be something that varies from species to species as far as how they do it, the type of proteins and things that would be exchanged between the corals. So that's always interesting. I mean, typically with the acros, it always seems like it's that green fluorescent protein that is the one that pops up, and all of our spliced acros seem to be that way. I had a couple other colors pop up that look like they might potentially be a splice or some sort of graft color infection that might be coming in, but we've been sitting on these and haven't really had any definitive answer on that. Sometimes it's just the way the light hit it, or a spot that got stressed where it's regrowing, and it may just have a look that it may be a different color. So
But
let's see on those.
But then when it grows like that sort of large colony and it's consistent throughout the coil,
Yeah.
it's obviously not just an area of lighting that hit it differently. It's continuing that pattern throughout, and you're able to just keep it going. So
If it were that easy, we'd probably have a lot more grafted coral.
yeah.
Biggest issue is a lot of times on an acro like that, let's say there's a little speck and it's near the base of the colony, and it's sort of locked inside. At that point, you have to be able to cut in to isolate that one spot,
Yeah.
get it to the point where it can bleed that pigment, where it will grow either by encrusting or spurring a branch growth out of that spot. There's a chance in a lot of these that they'll just sort of sit there and do nothing.
Right.
Like I've had a PC rainbow with some graft spots popping up in the farm, a classic beautiful acro. I just haven't had a chance to really successfully isolate that and get it to spread enough to release. We're working on that one too. We have pink Cadillac, classic coral too. That's another one that we're about to release that does have it popping off pretty well. It's just mostly in the encrusted parts right now, so we're waiting for more of the branch growth to come in so we can really make much nicer looking frags.
So we wrote about around 10 of these coral.
Yeah.
How many more do you have up your sleeve?
Oh,
That's so many.
It's so funny because it's kind of a passion project of mine. It's just really interesting, and when I find other ones out there, I want to grow them too. So even if it's ones that we didn't necessarily originally create or have occur in the farm, I'll try to grow them here. So we created a tab on the website actually this week for our grafted collection corals. So I haven't got the grand tally, but there's quite a few.
And
of a full array of species, chalices, Montes, Cyphastrias, Yeah, acros. Well, let me show you some of the other stuff we got over here. You can see this particular Monty is the Quasimodo. You know, similar species to the beach bum and stuff like that. More the bumpy textured Montiporas that tend to encrust and then plate out as they get bigger. But that one has a really beautiful contrast color with the green and the orange, and a nice polyp color as well. What you see behind it is the Pooh Bear. Now that one, some of the graft spots, it's a little smaller, but you can see there's a few areas here where the green is streaking out right there as well. So we isolated that and got it to the edges to where we can continue to get that color mix to grow in, and then get to the point where we'll have some more frags available. We are getting ready to release the Quasimodo probably very soon on the website. So I think I have one frag ready to go.
How do you pick the names?
You know, some of the names just come to me, but other times we have a general list. And I have a good crew of guys, and you know, sometimes if we just have a certain core, I'm like, hey, anyone got a good one for this piece? You know, and we kind of collaborate on that, and sometimes it fits. So, you know, there's good names, and I'd say there's bad names out there, but you know, we always, you know, love them, and it's good to be able to identify these corals and have an established piece that everyone really knows, you know, where it came from.
Yeah.
And a lot of times there'll be a story behind it. Yeah, this is a grafted litho citrus blast.
Wow.
Really pretty piece. I'm looking for a nice encrusting coral that is going to add some unique color in a lower light area. This one's real nice.
That is so cool.
This one here is the Sunny D Splash.
Yep.
Oh. You see it has the really, really rich, vibrant orange coloration along with the red that would be more your typical color that you see in a lot of these Setosas. So interesting thing is that originally our orange peel popped up with just tiny specks of the red. We were never able to successfully manually graft that piece to our red Setosa. Over time it popped up with some of those mutations where the red would be, you know, in a little speck here, a little speck there, and then they isolated that and eventually got it to grow out to the point where now we have the balanced frags. And that's the sherbet swirl. Really interesting thing on this piece is the fact that we were able to isolate a third color, where it has the greenish hues as well.
Yeah, so awesome to see him in person.
Yeah, we try to be fairly accurate with those pictures. I mean, some of them are depicted under blue light.
Yeah.
You know, I think to appreciate some of the more subtle colors, the blue can come in handy there, especially on some of the splices. This one here, the fruit swirl, this is our original 3-color grafted Setosa. You see that one has greenish orange hue to it, but the purple is really the standout on that. Have you ever seen a purple Setosa?
No, I haven't.
Neither have I. And it just happened to pop up with a couple specks of color on one of our random red pieces.
Wow.
And after years of isolating and growing it and mixing it, you see just the crazy swirl patterns that you're getting in here. Even some of the branches literally have a mix of the color developing on them. It is difficult to get spots that have all 3 color to start frags that will end up turning into colonies that will have all 3 colors. So, you know, it is a bit of a process, you know, making the frags and putting this all together. And we have to combine and merge a bunch of different smaller colonies to be able to bring this to production. But it has gotten to the point where, you know, we are able to sell some here and there. And it's a truly unique collector piece. Next step is to just make enough colonies to where I can get all of the colony to look like that, right? Maybe in a couple of years from now.
Yeah. This is going to be fun to see this evolve.
I try to spend, you know, a little bit of time on my side project, maybe once a month.
Time blocking your schedule.
Yep. But at the end of the day, some of these pieces, you know, it's just something so unique that I think there's enough people out there who are collectors who can truly appreciate that and want to add something like that to their display tank to grow. And you know, at the end of the day, you know, that people get excited about that like I do, makes it all worth it.
Maybe one more question. You were in that article, you gave a lot of good advice Maybe just actually hearing you say it for, in your own words for a couple of minutes here, tips and tricks on how to be successful in grafting coral.
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to the grafted corals, a lot of the time, it's just more about observation and managing it. And you just sort of treat it like its own little evolving piece that you can manipulate and be a part of how that will eventually form. So sort of like a bonsai tree, you may take a little snip here or a snip there. Some people are concerned, especially in the Acropora, that the green fluorescent protein tends to overtake and dominate. And you can manage that by clipping off some of those branches before it has a chance to take over, removing that. A lot of times when I start frags that we sell, I'll mount a part of the original piece that's non-grafted next to the part with the graft and let them merge too, to have a higher ratio as well, since the green does have a way a tendency to dominate slightly. So it does help maintain that balance with the frags. And as they form and grow, let's say you have a colony that starts to turn into a more of a half color. Then you can start chipping off pieces. Let's say this side's purple and this side's green. You can start chipping off little fragments of the green part, splice it back to itself on the other side to start creating a better looking colony that has a more intense mix overall. That works with acros, it works with the Montes, even chalices and stuff like that. You can do it. But yeah, I mean, it's part of the fun. I think just maintaining and forming it to make the best, most intense looking colony in the long run.
Do you have an aquarium at home?
I have a freshwater tank with inside. I shut down my big saltwater tank at home.
Because you gotta get away from it at some point, don't you?
So I had so many projects going on at the house, the renovations, that I just got bored with that tank and wanted to do something different. So when I'm done with some of these things, then I'll probably put another one in. I have some crazy ideas in my head about what I want to do for that. But
what do crazy ideas in your head look like? Your normal ideas seem crazy.
So imagine in your living room, saltwater pond that simulates kind of the intertidal zone where you have some crazy wave effects going on, with rock coming in and out of the water and waterfalls and things like that. That's what I want to put in my house eventually, if I have time. That's going to be the hard part. But just wanted to try something really unique. And ever since I was traveling and going vacations to Puerto Rico and just seeing some of those environments in person, it just blew my mind. I can show you some of the footage I got when I was there, just hitting up a lot of the local beaches and climbing around and just even stumbling onto a coral reef just near a beach in San Juan. Just happened to be strolling around with the family. I'm like, oh, what's this? Some elkhorn in the wild, literally coming out of the water. Some massive symmetrical grains, just a whole bunch of really interesting stuff. So I just strolled right up in there and start picking through the water. They're all looking at me like I'm crazy. I mean, even reef restoration, I would love to grow some of those species here in our systems. Just the restrictions they have on that. I mean, you have to have it completely isolated in a room separate from any of these corals from different regions of the world. So it's just not possible. But I mean, I would love to bank some of those things here, but it's not something we could do.
Because we did that trip to all the facilities about, the Florida Reef Tract Restoration Project. And I was like, I know some really awesome coral growers because, I mean, these professional aquarists, all the respect for the things that they do, but, can't spend all their time focusing on growing coral. And I'm like thinking, hey, I know a guy, I know a few guys that just do nothing but grow coral. And, they're like, well, these have to be very precise conditions. And I'm like, wow.
I think the methods that they're trying to do are a lot different than necessarily just propagating them. A lot of it was spawning and developing resiliency over time to withstand some of the changing conditions in the oceans. So this piece here is the grafted gamma knife hydrocoral.
Oh, there it is.
It's base color has been a favorite of the farm crew here as far as the hide nose go. Really underrated coral, super hardy, fast grower. You're looking for, you know, something more entry level. And, you know, as you can see, it developed the different color graft running through in a few different areas that we've been able to isolate on a lot of the frags, and you develop.
And of course.
Yeah, and that's another one that just naturally occurred in our system. So you have a lot of the original grafted caps was more of the basic green and red, and we were able to find a third color that would graft to this to really make a standout colony, and this one called Mind Melt.
Yeah, the darker green, the neon, and obviously the red. All three of them. Very cool.
This was the other grafted anacro I hadn't released yet. That was the one that had the forest green, kind of grafted base color, yellowish green that you would see typically called the Thing. Cornbread's the Thing was the base of this. And it just popped up with some various spots with this darker forest green.
Wow.
Yep, that one we were calling Swamp Thing. These fish, they know when they see us, it's feeding time.
I'm like, hey man, how are you today? Why are you
Some of the fish we could probably grab and pick up, and they wouldn't mind. Something that we're working on, I do have a couple colonies, like you can see here, where I have the purple growing on the main edge that I'm just gonna try to continue to get that to spread. I have a couple more that are further along than that as well. You know, again, are getting probably a chunk that's all purple, but it would be really interesting to see that as its own colony. If you want to see something cool right now, I can show you.
Yeah. I mean, don't tempt me. I will stay.
All right, so this particular piece here,
Yeah.
the Cherry Corals banana hammock,
Uh-huh.
it looks sort of like a Paletta pink tip, but it's known for having that green fluorescent graft pop up on that too. Now, our particular one that we started, it seemed like the branches, most of that just didn't retain that color. And then I noticed something really interesting, that the encrusting bases had a crazy swirled mix of alternating colors. So I experimented and tried chopping those bases off to see if we could restart a colony. So the next time you come, we can find out the results of that experiment. But here you can see the bottom and all those graft stripes that were popping up from that. So eventually these branches will hopefully become really wild looking swirl colored branches.
No way.
But we'll
That
have to
is
wait.
wild. That's crazy.
Yeah, I had a couple of those. I mean, the interesting one too, you know, a tricolor morph, the Oompa Loompa splice that we started growing, really pretty one as well. Fox flame. We actually picked up a part of that with a heavy amount of the green from another farmer, and had started splicing that together with our fox flame grow out. That's a really interesting piece too. I think the color contrast on that's going to be really special.
Pretty soon you're just not gonna have any room for normal coral here.
Well, you know, as you can see, we're already sort of having that problem. I mean, there's stuff crammed in here everywhere.
That like way underneath another salt.
You're gonna have to have a separate facility. TSA normal coral.
Well, that's why we have the tall tanks. The you know, the crew here likes to say that I built it tall because I'm tall, but
Yeah.
you know, it was really so we could fit more coral. And you know, we have the high tier and then we have the low tier and different things. Like, for example, those grafted setoses, if you look in this little cave here, is where I have in the more shaded area a lot of those 3-colored fruit swirl setoses growing.
I don't know how you remember where every single piece of it is, but I guess this is your stomping ground. Like you're like back here.
It's
take
like
3
the
steps,
pirate with the drink.
about 3 inches to the left. Right, no, here, right here, right. Oh yeah, in here.
Well, there is so much coral in here, and it you know, we have a big team, and that helps. A lot of the guys and different members of the crew are assigned different systems, so they sort of are the ones who have that memory bank of everything in that system. Every day of the week, we do inspections and look over every piece in here, making sure it's healthy, nothing's going south. And, you know, that's a big part of what we do, just being on top of everything. So you start to memorize that system and know it like the back of your hand.
Yeah.
And, you know, I tend to move around more and look at the sweet spot areas of the things that I like to put my finger on more, like the grafted pieces and some of the other projects, like the plates that we're trying to propagate as well.
Yeah.
If you come to town, we let people take tours of the farm, you know, all the time. So if it's not a super busy day and you're over in the retail store, a lot of the times they can bring you over and you can see it all in person.
Yeah. Maybe do you do that? Do you do it where you know, you do like little contests where they get the exclusive opportunity to tour the farm and talk with you for a couple hours while checking it out?
Could be something that we do, not that we've done in the past.
All right. Thank you, Reef Builders, for tuning in here to the channel. Kevin, I just want to thank you so much for giving me, you know, that exclusive tour here at the farm and talking about some of these great grafted coral and showing me some of the cool things that you're working on. Reef Builders, if you want to learn more about what's going on here at Top Shelf Aquatics, you can go to
TopShelfAquatics.com.
and I'll list down all the links below where you can go to the Instagram, the YouTube channel, hang out with Blaine on the YouTube channel. Keep up with what they're doing over here. There's a lot of cool things that they're doing here at Top Shelf. And so then I gotta go. We're about to run out of footage. Snailed it.